Hey guys, Theron Asbury here with Revital Outdoors, bringing you another exciting podcast. Tonight we're going to go to the East Coast. We're going to go to the North Carolina Division for the Major League Fishing BFLs. We have Mr. Craig Chambers on tonight. He finished second last year at Lake Norman. So there's another tournament coming up there in a few weeks. So we're going to talk to the second place finisher from last year, figure out how he fished his tournament, maybe talk about baits a little bit, and then what he predicts for this year. So he's currently at Lake Guntersville right now practicing for the Toyota Series. So we're very, very glad to have him on in a busy schedule that he's doing. Before we get started, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you get notified when all of our podcasts are dropping. Check us out on social media. That's going to be Facebook and Instagram, Revital Outdoors. And then if you've never heard of Revital Outdoors, we're a premium CBD company. We have a great product. It's THC-free, made right here in America, and it's great for all the outdoor enthusiasts. So check out our website. You can purchase the product there. You can learn more about it. We have a full lineup of CBD products, so check us out, revitaloutdoors.com. But before we get too carried away, let's go ahead and bring him in, Mr. Craig Chambers. He and I were actually just talking, having a great conversation about fishing. So, Craig, it's really good to have you on tonight.
Hey, thank you, man. It's great for you having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I know you're at Lake Guntersville and you're thinking about that, but let's think about last year. Lake Norman, North Carolina Division, finished second in the event. You said you lost the tournament by just a couple of ounces, so that's a heartbreaker, but nonetheless, it's a top five. Talk to us a little bit about your tournament last year, and then just break down Lake Norman for us. What do you like about Norman so much?
Yeah, last year was kind of a heartbreaker, but in a good way. A friend of mine actually won the tournament. And he's battling cancer right now. Prayers go out to him. His name's Johnny Parker. And he's a really, really good friend of mine, a really good person. So I was glad to see him win. That was his first BFL win. So it was good to lose to him. But I did lose by 1/10 of an ounce. I think it was like 1439 to 1438 or something like that. The crazy part about that was when I went to my live well to get out the fish, there were two crawfish in my live well, and one of them was actually like the size of a small lobster. I mean, this thing had to weigh 4 ounces by itself. So one of the biggest fish, the biggest largemouth that I caught, had regurgitated. I noticed it was really fat. I thought it was maybe spawn, but I don't believe it was. I believe it was crawfish now that I saw it was in the bottom of my live well. So yeah, that was kind of a heartbreaker. But speaking of that, crawfish, I mean, and that's that's obviously something that those fish are going to be feeding on in the springtime. That's why all the spring crawls and all the red crankbaits, stuff like that, come into play. But without dirty water, it makes it a lot tougher to get bit on that red stuff. But this year could be a different year. Lake Norman right now is doing multiple different things. I mean, you got some fish actually on the bed down in the lower end of the lake right now as we're speaking.
Holy cow! Wow, those guys are lost.
I catched them this weekend on the bed. There's several guys that came in with some pretty fish that came off the bed, all the way down the lake. So, this lake, you can about do anything you want this time of year, and that's what's cool about it. I love to throw a jerk bait and stuff like that when the water's clear and low, and that's basically what's going on right now. So, jerk bait, swim baits, stuff like that, and little tricky stuff, that everybody's kind of got their own little sneaky things they like to do, whether it be a spy bait or whatever, So, but that type of stuff is going to definitely come into play. There's going to be fish on bait in multiple places of the lake. There's also going to be probably some fish on the bed. So, you can about go to whatever end you want. I fished a open down there, I think 4 or 5 years ago, and we had it in March. It was in the beginning of March, and I literally caught. I was in, I think, third place after day one. I caught all my fish off the bed, and I was fortunate in that one because I actually dropped the lower unit that morning and fished for a few hours. But my co-hanger was in second. I think I was in third going into day two, and we caught all our fish off the bed, and that was on March 3rd. So, it just kind of depends. I mean, you kind of you could about flip a coin and go to whatever end of the lake and do multiple different things. Obviously, the top side of the lake's going to be cooler. The bottom side of the lake's going to be a little warmer due to the hot water discharge on the upper end of the lake that the current's taking downriver, and then there's also another discharge down lake that's mixing. So, that water down there tends to be a lot warmer.
Okay. Well, let's talk about in terms of if an angler has never been to Lake Norman before, or there's a brand new angler that's going to be fishing as a boater this year for the BFL. Break down Lake Norman in a sense of, you talked about throwing those red crankbaits, you talked about throwing a jerk bait, a jig, really awesome baits. when I think about that, I'm thinking about fishing a little bit shallower. So would you recommend anglers to maybe go shallow, or should they stay out deep and fish for brush piles, or what is Lake Norman known for?
That's kind of a tricky thing because that lake has been a shallow lake in typical years, but this year, the last I'd say 5 years, that lake has changed a lot. And what I mean by that is they're putting alewives and they're putting herring in the lake. Okay, so what that's done is it's taken a lot of fish off the bank. Guys are catching them out off the bank a lot more than they usually did. 10, 15 years ago, that was a lake that if you were fishing deeper than 10 feet, you were probably making a mistake. Now I can't say that so much. You don't have to be shallow. If you do go shallow, that is a tactic that can be playable. I mean, especially knowing the time of year and the water, depending on the temperature and the clarity. I mean, that depends on that more than anything. Obviously, if the water's dirty, the fish are going to move shallow. But I don't think we're going to have dirty water. So I would venture to say if this tournament's going to get one in, it's not going to get one shallow. I think it's going to get one probably mid depth. There's going to be some fish that'll be staging in the middle of pockets and stuff like that. And a lot of guys that don't know exactly what they're looking for, they'll go right by the mother load of fish and not even know they're there. And be fishing the bank. The fish are right behind them, staged out in the middle on bait. So it's gonna take some crafty practice, and you got to go out and find the better schools and find the bigger fish. You can find fish and 14 inches. You can find schools of those all over, but to find the quality that you need to win this tournament, you're gonna have to do some searching.
Okay. Well, a couple of questions on that. First of all, is the Alabama rig going to play?
Well, the Alabama rig, that's a flip of a coin too. Guys catch them on it, and I'm not a huge fan of the Alabama rig. I throw a jerk bait and green grub and swim baits and stuff like that. I don't do a lot of Alabama rigging, and I think part of the reason is when I get out here on the road, I'm not allowed to use it. So especially in the opens and stuff like that. So I don't like getting confidence in a bait that I'm not allowed to use when the big money's on the line. So I try to practice and get better with the baits that I'm able to fish in the bigger tournaments. So I can't really speak too much on Alabama rig. I know there are some local guys that will be in this tournament that do throw an Alabama rig and do very well at times, especially if the wind's blowing. So look for some of the heavy hitters out there that's won multiple BFLs. The Hammerts and the Hoovers and stuff like that. Them guys, if the wind's blowing and the conditions are right, they will catch them on an Alabama rig. I can guarantee you. So
absolutely. And then the other thing I have to ask is, I think Lake Norman, it's known for having largemouth and spotted bass in it. So when you talk about the better quality fish, does that mean the better quality spotted bass? Or in my mind, I'm saying I'm largemouth fishing.
I'll tell you what, dude. The spotted bass in that lake have gotten absolutely obnoxious. They've gotten big. So there's so many tournaments that are won with 20 plus pounds, at certain times of the year, and they're all spots. I've seen it multiple times every year. I'd say probably 70-80% of the tournaments that's been won in the last 3 months have been spotted bass. So we actually won Sunday in that Phantom tournament, the Cat Trail Phantom tournament on Norman. Me and my partner Derek Cummings, and we actually had 2 4.5 pound largemouth. Oh, go figure, in a 3 pounder. So. But that was kind of a lucky thing. We had some fish come up schooling in front of us, and my partner threw out in front of him and caught a 4.5 pound largemouth schooling with the spotted bass. I caught a 12-inch spot, and he caught a 4.5 pound largemouth. So we kind of got lucky. But that goes back to you pull into a pocket, and you don't. Them fish, they're going to be staged, and they're going to be out there around that bait. I mean, I think you really need to be fishing around bait. The water's not dirty. It's clean everywhere from top to bottom. You're gonna really have to find bait to be successful in this tournament.
Okay. So let's say an angler's going out fishing this tournament. He's practicing. He's got 5 rods on the deck. We've mentioned a jerk bait, mentioned a jig, mentioned cranking a little bit, maybe a swim bait. What's another rod? Would you go finesse style, or would you put another reaction bait on the deck?
I mean, it really depends because fishing pressure is going to play a lot in this too. There's a lot of tournaments on Lake Norman, especially around that time, and it's going to get pounded by the CDC guys the week before, and probably guys are going to be out there practicing. So, anytime you get pressured fish, you can put on some kind of a finesse bait, and you can trigger some bites doing that. I don't want to say that you definitely need another reaction bite, but there again, you're going to have to go out and you're going to have to find them, because Lake Norman is one of those lakes that's here today, gone tomorrow. I mean, and it really is. That's my home lake. I fish it all the time. I fish it all winter long. I don't miss a tournament. I fish every Saturday and Sunday for the last 4 months on that lake. So, and practice, wow. 2 or 3 days throughout the week. So, but I've gone out and found the mother load of fish and then gone back the next day and there's not a fish within 1,000 yards. So, it can be feast or famine, but sometimes they do stay. And, if you can find that bigger group of fish that, have the right quality in them, especially the spots that are off the bank, you're going to stand a pretty good chance of doing well.
Okay, cool. So, well, Craig, you gave us a lot of great information. Lake Norman, I still have yet to be there, but it's a big list on the bucket list. I mean, I've been to Lake Murray, I've been to Hartwell, been to Lanier, phenomenal spotted bass fisheries. And I mean, I hear so many good things from the Hank Cherries and the Brian Thrifts and the Brian News of the world about Norman. I'm dying to get there someday. So, but before we wrap up, again, thank you for coming on to our podcast. We want to say good luck to you at Gunnersville this week. But any final thoughts? Anybody you'd like to thank back home in North Carolina, or any sponsors that support you? I know you fish a lot of tournaments. We want to give you the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. One in particular is the Great Outdoors in Cherryville, North Carolina. They sell Camus bass boats and all kinds of other boats, but they've been really good to me, man. The mechanics and the people there, man, they treat me really good. Denali rods, I love my Denali rods. They take really good care of me. Also, Abu Garcia, so Camus boats. Camus boats is one of probably the sweetest boats I've ever owned. And I'll tell you, man, it's really making a lot of noise. They're showing up all over the place, and I'll tell you, it's one of the smoothest riding boats in rough water you're gonna find. So, but I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to come on your podcast, man. And I hope somebody can learn something from what I told them. I really did shoot them straight. That's really the truth. You're gonna have to go out there and put in the work, and find the bait, and you'll find the right packs of fish if you get lucky. So.
Before we go, I did look up your record on Major League Fishing. I think a few years ago you went 6 for 6 on cash and checks and BFLs on Norman. So I'd say a few things about Lake Norman.
Yeah, I fished there quite a bit. So yeah, I put my work in, and so it's your home lake. It's tough to do good on your home lake. It really is. A lot of guys. There's a lot of really good fishermen around that area. I promise you. There's even the guys that you named, but there's some that are just as good as them guys on that lake, that are just really hard to beat. The Scott Amricks and the Beatties and these guys, man, they're hammers, dude, and they win consistently. Steve Addington, Kevin Toller, these guys, they really catch them. So you really got to be on top of your game at all times on that lake. You got to be one step ahead of everybody. So it's a tough lake to fish. I will say that that's probably the toughest field throughout the year of any local tournament you'll ever face. I can promise you. So if you're interested in coming to Lake Norman, come and fish against. There's at least 2 or 3 Elite Series guys there every weekend, and several other surprise guests show up from time to time. So
I saw one time a few years back. I was still in college. We were actually at Lake Kiwi fishing the national championship there in college, and we were kind of doing some research about the lakes in the area before we get off here, and I saw a Tuesday nighter happen there in April, and Andy Montgomery was there, Brian Thrift was there, Hank Cherry was there. We're talking about a Tuesday nighter.
Yeah, well, this is why, man. When the shad spawn on that lake at night in April, dude, that place can get crazy. I have literally personally caught like multiple 25-pound bags, and a 25-pound bag is unheard of on Lake Norman. I've had an opportunity to weigh that in a day tournament, but when the shad are spawning at night and they get up and you hear them popping them rocks, dude, oh my gosh, there's nothing better than throwing one of them wake baits or pulling out some sneaky stuff, man, and catching them big ones, because them big ones are up there and they're eating. Those guys, we all love to go out there that time of year just because it's like a donkey fest, man. 20 pounds, you won't even get a check some nights. It's that.
No, I remember looking at that photo and I'm like, was this a Tuesday nighter or a Bassmaster Classic? Just the local hammers in there. But man, you look at those guys that have made such a great career of themselves, and there's a lot of attribution back to Lake Norman. There's something to do with – I don't think it's just Lake Norman. I think it's North Carolina in general. You have a river system. You have dirty water. You got fresh water. You got smallmouth. You got spotted bass. You got largemouth. You got lakes that have tides running into it. You have it all right there in the state. And, That's what makes you good.
That's what makes you good. There's no doubt about it. You take Jordan Lake and Falls, and then they got them ledges, and they got them, so, we have a little bit of everything. You go towards the mountains, you got Lake James with smallmouth and rocks and big cliff walls. And so, and then you got high rocks, dirty, muddy all the time, shallow. You got Lake Norman, deeper, clear, spotted bass. So, it really makes you a versatile fisherman living in that area. There's no doubt. There's some hammers. I mean, every weekend, like I said, just elite guys. You got Robbie Dye, you got Todd Otten, you got, Matt Airy, Hank Cherry, Shane LeHue, Shane Lineberger. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on.
It just keeps going and going and going. So
there's a lot of really quality fishermen in that area that aren't even being named that, don't even want to fish on the elite series, but I bet you they could if they wanted to. I mean,
they make plenty of money doing what they're doing in North Carolina. That's for sure.
My partner Derek Cummings is another one. He fished with Kevin Van Dam for multiple years. He traveled with him as a travel partner. And man, I'll tell you what, dude, my team tournament partner, I couldn't ask for a better one. He's a hammer, dude. An absolute. Yeah. So very fortunate for that one too. So
absolutely. So well, Craig, we appreciate you being on board with us tonight. Good luck at Guntersville. Good luck throughout the rest of your 2022 campaign. And man, we hope to have you back on here because that means you're doing obviously something right. So.
Man, I greatly appreciate the invite, and thank you. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
For sure. From all of us at Revital Outdoors, I'm Theron Asbury. You've been talking to Mr. Craig Chambers, second place finisher last year for the BFL North Carolina Division on Lake Norman. So we've had a wonderful podcast. So thank you to Craig. Good luck this week. Be safe out there, guys. God bless. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page, and we will talk to everyone very soon.